Hello, everybody. My name is Royce Thomason. I am a fortunate soul who is blessed to be able to bring a system of healing into the earth that's known as Transcending the Matrix. And what we're going to do today is really just kind of give a little bit of an introduction to Transcending the Matrix. Um, I'll kind of share um, a little bit about my own healing journey and how this work came to be, and a little bit of what we're doing with it. But before we go on, I'd really love to know who's present. So if you're willing to, just say a quick hello or a wave or something. I'm always very happy to know who's here. So uh, please, by all means, say hello or leave a comment, whether you're on YouTube Live or on Facebook Live, or even if you come and you check out a replay of the broadcast. But just a little bit about my journey. We've been doing this work that's transcending the matrix for quite some time now, and have reached a lot of people doing it. But I want to give a little bit of an introduction to it. So on a fundamental level, transcending the matrix is a methodology of healing. Um, it can be referred to as an alternative form of healing. Ultimately a holistic approach to wellness that really deals with the totality of a person's beingness on all levels of a person's existence. And I've been fortunate to be able to utilize this with a lot of people over the years and train other people to utilize it. But just to give you some background in my own journey, how I came into this work. So I've been in ministry for quite a while since 1996. Sometime at some point, I received to me was a very clear signal from God that I'm going to teach you how to heal people. That I was going to be taught how to heal people, and that was interesting language for me. In my own journey, I've done a lot of studying, a lot of different self-examination, and my own spiritual journey has led me into some interesting places to see things from different perspectives. Um, and healing, I guess, came up as part of that journey. But I did get what I felt to be a very clear message from God that I was going to be taught how to heal people. And so we actually had been in seminary. When that ended, I ended up returning to my hometown, and what was expected to be a weekend spread out over a few more days, and ultimately became quite a few years. But during that time, ended up starting a ministry. It was a ministry that sought to speak to people's beingness, to answer some of the difficult questions of life, questions that I myself had wrestled with, people that I had communicated with, questions that they had in terms of deeper things of life and kind of the mystery of existence and reality and all of that, right? And so um, we started that work. We had been doing that work. I had a laptop that I had loaned to someone while I was in their presence. It stopped working. So I went to, as it were, my mother's place to use her computer and this is years ago. this is this is 20 something years ago. And uh, I was printing out some materials for this ministry, and I was going right down the street. There was uh, a at that time Office Max. I think they're all Office Depots now, and that's where I went to have these materials printed and cut and everything. And so I did so. There was a gentleman, I will never forget his name. I'll forever be grateful to this man. His name was Paul, and he was the one who was helping me at the copy center. And he offered to show me things that he had done for other people. He said, if you ever need any other printing needs taken care of, business cards or anything else, let us know. We'd be happy to do that, right? And like I said, he asked if I wanted to look at anything that he had done for anybody else. And the honest answer was, I said yes, but only to be polite. I wasn't really particularly interested in doing that. I had to drive to my mother's house to do this stuff. And anyway, I was looking to make my way back across the other side. But to be polite, I looked at it, and the information that he brought out, everything that he pulled out was on this Chinese doctor. And I thought that this was really quite interesting that this would unfold this way. Like I said, I had been given this message before. This gentleman was 35th generation Shaolin master, um, and in some of the ancient and even not so ancient traditions of China, the martial arts and the healing arts are really like kind of like two sides of the same coin. Um, this person had been grandmaster of multiple forms of kung fu, and also very knowledgeable and adept in terms of the healing side, not just the martial side, but the healing side as well. And so, trained in some of these ancient practices, he wanted to. He felt like those approaches were too slow, and he kind of merged these things with the latest awareness in biochemistry and physiology and anatomy and quantum physics and all of these different fields to create this methodology. And fortunately, I ended up being blessed to be able to train with them. Curly Conscious King, it's good to see you, brother. Glad to have you in the space, and love, light, and many blessings to you as well. And so, um, as fortune would have it, I was blessed to be able to study basic, intermediate, and advanced levels of Chinese energetic medicine under this, who I consider to be uh, very, very wise man, powerful man, and a truly beautiful soul. And I saw that I was my mind was blown because it seemed like every sickness, every disease, he seemed to understand what the root cause of all of these people's issues were. And I'm talking about individual people. He seemed to understand what the root cause of their sickness and disease uh, happened to have been, and was able to work with them to give them immediate relief, like on the spot, transformation of their situations. And I was just deeply enthralled. And like I said, I ended up being able to study under this wise soul. And actually, even just after doing the basic level of training, I was in a situation where I was feeling led to affirm that God has made me a master healer. And immediately after that, I was in a situation uh, where I was actually confronted with opportunity to demonstrate that. So here, God had told me, "I need you to heal people." Here I'm put in a situation. My laptop broke down while I was in somebody else's presence. Um, End up having to make this trip to my mother's to print out this material, or to create and then have this material printed out. That led me to this experience of meeting this man Paul, who was handling my printing needs and who shared with me all of this information on this person. This man from China, by the way, who lived a long way from me, but this information, everything that he showed me was on this man. And and then situation where I'm affirming that God has made me a master healer. Then I'm in a situation where I get to demonstrate this in the drugstore, in the pharmacy, at the pharmacy section, um, going to pick up something for someone who didn't want me utilizing this with them or their children at the time, didn't want to be any guinea pig. But there, as it were, the pharmacist was in an incredible amount of pain, back pain. Just left the chiropractor and was still in an incredible amount of back pain. And I attempted to do my thing, not really sure if I really knew what I was doing. And within a matter of seconds, he turned and looked at me, in utter amazement and said that the pain was gone. And I've had a lot of wonderful, beautiful experiences of being able to uh, serve as a vessel of healing in a lot of people's lives. I say a vessel of healing because I believe ultimately any good thing that comes into our life is from God. It's really God that's doing it. That may come through a person, it may come through a sunrise or a sunset, it may come through the lyrics of a song, it may come through the work of somebody's hands, but I believe it ultimately comes from God if it's really truly a blessing. And so I maintain, and I'm very clear that God ultimately is the healer, and I'm humbled that I get to be a vessel of that. And so there are a lot of people that I got an opportunity to work with and support based on that training that I had in Chinese energetic medicine. And then there was some other training that I ended up being led to that related to the DNA and reprogramming DNA and things of that nature, and received some certifications there. But what that was revealing to me was in a different way, things that are ancestral and passed down from one generation to another. And these two different areas, what they showed me is that really any sickness, any disease, any problem actually that we're having in our life, always something beyond what meets the eye. It's not just the typical thing. Even if it's an injury that somebody has sustained, there's something that's going on that led them to have that particular accident or suffer that particular injury. There was something going on within their beingness that brought that into physical manifestation of their experience. And so, like I said, this work is it really deals with the whole person. When we are well, it's not just that we're well in this area, but not in this area. All of it is a part of our wellness. Okay. And so we exist on multiple levels. We're spiritual beings, first and foremost. We have a lot of things going on mentally and emotionally. Yes, we do have things that go on physically as well. But if something has made its way into the physical, it's pointing to the fact that there was something going on, something that wasn't cleared out, brought into balance somehow, that we didn't get it before it made its way into the physical. And any problem going on in our body, it's an indication that there's something that we need to see. There's something that we need to look at. Now, I'll get to that in a little bit. So, as things had gone on, um, ultimately, I ended up receiving kind of a prophetic message, if you will, that a time was going to come that I would need to make a decision on whether just to continue doing this healing work myself or to train other people to do uh, what I was doing. And ultimately, the decision was made to train other people. And what I started doing is started doing treatments on myself. Okay, as opposed to doing treatments to help somebody become free of their back pain or to remove tumor or to improve this or that particular area of their life. I started doing treatments on myself to develop and to teach a healing modality. and Transcending the Matrix was the result of that. So I was doing this work. In essence, um, it came to be, and in some ways, it kind of encompasses uh, a lot of what I learned, through those studies with those others that I trained with, as well as some things that I feel like God gave me specifically. And some of those things I didn't know why God had me include certain things until later. I didn't understand the reason why at first. Uh, Certain things were being included in terms of some of our approaches and methodology in the system. But over time, some of those things came to be revealed, and I was like, "Oh wow, okay, God, that's why we do this here. Or that's why we do that here." Um, and so, transcending the matrix is some wonderful work, and there are other people besides just me that's doing this wonderful work. So, what is transcending the matrix? Transcending the matrix is a system of rapid healing, of transformation, but it's also so much more than that. There have been thousands of people across the United States, Canada, Mexico, Africa, the Middle East, um, Asia that I've been blessed to personally support in terms of their healing. I'm not sure if anybody from Australia, but this work has impacted a lot of people, and I feel very blessed to be able to be a vessel of healing in people's lives. Without a doubt, without a question, God is the healer. And there is absolutely nothing that extends beyond God's ability to heal or transform. Okay. The question is, how adequate am I as a vessel? Or how adequate are you as a vessel? Okay. Again, every good thing comes from God, but God does do things through vessels. And so, um, this work that is transcending the matrix, I have had a tremendous degree of humility that I've experienced and gratitude for opportunities to be able to a person who's been in pain for 20 years, 30 years, and to be able to spend a little time with them. And then that pain is significantly reduced or goes away altogether in a matter of just a few minutes. I mean, that is amazing to me. That's amazing to me. It is such a joy to see people's sense of relief and their gratitude, that they're able to experience a whole new quality of life. Uh, and it's not any side effects. Really, ultimately, the physical change is the side effect because uh, all sickness and all disease ultimately is, I say, the result of a darkness is just the absence of light. Okay. There are areas where we've experienced things that we haven't resolved. Areas maybe that our ancestors have experienced things that they have not resolved. That house these unresolved things house themselves within the cells of our body, within our cellular memory, within our own physical structure. And when we have certain problems showing up in certain areas of our life, it's pointing to the fact that there's something going on that needs to be addressed. And yes, Western medicine does address things, through mainly through surgery and through medication. But ultimately, there are other things that are going on that need to be resolved and need to be addressed. That's why if you cut a tumor out, it can grow back. That's why sometimes you have these repeating issues that will show up, okay? Or why a person is on medication for the rest of their life for this or that particular thing. Because ultimately the root cause of the issue hasn't been addressed. And so what transcending the matrix does is it really gets to the root cause of a person's sickness, disease, challenge, problem, whatever it is that's going on. And it doesn't just work for physical issues. It works for all types of things, all types of mental health issues, a lot of different things. And so what we do is we just identify the areas where that darkness exists, if you will, where a person is essentially closed the door as it relates to a certain area of their life to maybe try to shield themselves from pain, where they've actually just locked themselves into it and maybe in some ways become numb to it. But what we do is we bring the light of love into that space, ultimately, ultimately. And so uh, it brings me so much joy to be able to share the healing with people. But what brings me even greater joy is to be able to share with others this gift that I get to experience of helping others. Okay. And uh and with the training, the folks who do the training experience some wonderful and powerful things in ways that don't necessarily make sense to the intellect sometimes. um and so, even the name, you know, transcending the matrix. We talk about this matrix of third dimensional beliefs of separation and limitation, both of which are illusion, roughly translated from the ancient Sanskrit term Maya, which ultimately means that things are not as they seem, right? Like in the Bible, it says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. You know, there are so many things that we think is the issue that really we're just seeing the surface. We're just seeing the surface and we're missing what the real issue is. And a lot of the problems that we have in the world, a lot of the challenges that we have in the world, that we have in our individual lives and that we have collectively is a result of just missing the mark, not seeing things how they actually are. The Bible refers to that as sin. Okay. And so it's a matter of so often it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective. Jesus taught that if your eye is single, in other words, if your eye is whole, you're seeing things rightly. Your whole body will be filled with light. That is so beautiful and so powerful to me. And so remember what I said earlier, the sickness and disease is a result of some darkness that exists within us. For the transcending the matrix practitioner, it's about seeing beyond the illusion and seeing the wholeness in that other person. And guess what? A person can't see wholeness from brokenness. A person can only see wholeness from wholeness. I said a couple of weeks ago that how do you know that you are the light? You know that you are the light when light becomes all that you see. We see beyond the illusion. We see beyond the matrix, as it were, right? And so, in terms of transcending that, what does it mean to transcend, to rise above, to transform and transmute a perspective of reality into something more useful, ultimately? And so, those who are practitioners of this work are people who are on a journey. And there are different people who are attracted. A lot of the people who are attracted to this work are people who already consider themselves healers in some form. People who are nurses, who are psychologists, who are medical professionals, massage therapists, people who are involved in alternative medicine, people who are clergy, uh, and some of the people who are attracted to this work are just people who are consciously on a spiritual journey and they want to tap into a greater version of themselves. the best version of themselves that they possibly can. People who want to help others are frequently drawn to this work. People who want to live their best life and realize that that has more to do, that there's more to that than just what's going on in terms of a material perspective. Although the material perspective is an aspect, it certainly isn't the whole thing. It's not the whole kit and caboodle. Again, we're dealing with something on a holistic level. And so those who get to partake in learning this work, and anybody can. All you have to have is a somewhat open mind and an open heart. Okay. A willingness to believe that anything is possible. Uh, uh, a willingness to accept the possibility that God is the healer, that you can be a vessel of that healing, and that love is the tool through which that healing is made possible. And I can tell you, you'll see miracles happen. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Whole bunch of people have seen reduce or become completely free of pain, physical pain. Seen a lot of wonderful, miraculous things happen. People's blood pressure lowering, just a whole lot of different what popular medicine will call medical miracles take place. And yet, that's just the surface of it. That's what I referred to earlier when I said that's actually the side effect of the healing. That's the side effect of the healing. That's not really ultimately where the miracle is. Okay. Miracles are not broken bones repairing themselves, although I've seen that happen. Miracles are not tumors being dissolved, although I've seen that happen. Miracles are not total transformation in somebody's physical health, oh, I've definitely seen that happen. Miracles are not turning water into wine. Miracles are not walking on water. Miracles are not parting seas. Okay. Those things are not miracles. Those things are signs and wonders. The miracle is a transformed heart. The miracle is a perspective shift. Here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. I've been blessed to see people of just about every background uh, be impacted by this work. I've seen people from just about every background train in this work and see equal results, regardless of gender. Hello, Karen. It's good to see you. Regardless of gender or socioeconomic background or level of education or status um, or religion or any of these different things, political affiliation, any of these different things that we use to separate ourselves, you know, and we cast judgment on ourselves and other people. It works equally well with everybody. Okay. And so um, the greater thing is that there's a transformation in people's heart. Ultimately, I'm on a global peace mission. Yes, I'm on a mission to participate in the healing of as many people as I can, to train as many people as I can, to uh, reach as many people as they can, to have medical miracles. But the deeper thing is for us all to be walking in love and light, in unity and in harmony with one another. Okay. And so when a person in one country is working with a person in another country, different original language, different religion, different culture, different ethnicity, all of these differences that we often get caught up in and is able to affect healing in another part of the world with someone who there are all these differences by tapping into the love ultimately by aligning with the love of God, shifting our perspective, seeing things from uh, a different view, inviting love and light into the space where there was darkness and fear or misunderstanding, and to see healing take place in a very transformative way, very quickly. That points to, oh, maybe we are really are all connected. Maybe we really are all one. Maybe we don't need to be going at each other in hostility and violence towards one another and condemning one another and trying to take over other people's countries or shaming others, because it's a reality that we really are all one. And for the person who's the initiate, who's the TTM or Transcending the Matrix initiate or student or practitioner, there's a transformation that takes place. Because in reality, I can say for me, I've gotten to participate in the healings of thousands of people all across the globe. Huh. The person who's received the most benefit in that has been me. The people who are on the planet, I'm very clear, would not have been, or they were on their way out. Uh, but God graced me to be able to work with somebody, and they're still here and thriving. Does that mean that there are people that I worked with that there has never been anybody that I worked with that made their transition? Definitely doesn't mean that. There are people I've worked with who have made their transition. But the thing of the matter is that while it even seems that the healer is helping somebody else, what it is it's an agreement between God, the person who's playing the role of the healer, and the person who's playing the role of the healing, to bring greater awareness, greater truth, greater spiritual maturity, greater understanding of self, and see a greater view of truth. And so the deepest blessing to me is what's experienced in the practitioner. That's where the deepest healing is taking place. This person might have had cancer, might not have it anymore. They might have had high blood pressure, don't have it anymore. They might have had diabetes and don't have it anymore. But the person who got to play the role in that is the one who's actually maybe the one who got the deeper healing, because they saw somehow their eye became single, their eye became whole. They were able to see things from a different perspective than the illusion that was standing before them, presenting itself to them. And they were able to see in the midst of what seemed to be sickness and dis-ease and a person having a lot of issues, they're able to see the truth of that person and to see the truth of another, the truth of the beauty and the purity of another. We've got to be able to see that within ourselves. Because if we don't, on some level, acknowledge that it exists within us, we can't see it in somebody else. And so every person that you have no idea how judgmental I've discovered myself to be over the years. I get freed from my own self illusions, my own delusions, um, through this work. I get to see where my own preconceived notions were and see things from a broader perspective, from a more God perspective. I get to I get to recognize, wow, I see myself in this other person. They're revealing things to me about me that I didn't recognize were there before. And I'm able to see something different. And then being able to see them as whole, I end up being able to see me as whole in a whole new way, a way that I didn't even previously know that I didn't feel that way. This is true of all Transcending the Matrix initiates or students or practitioners. Every time we do this work, we somehow enter into a state where somehow the love of God is being made magnified in a new way in our lives, where light is being magnified in a new way in our lives, where we see things more clearly, where we love more purely, and we align with a greater reality of truth. Okay. That's what transcending the matrix is really all about. We've got a couple people here who participate in this wonderful work, and it's such an honor to me to be able to work with such beautiful souls. Oh, it's one of the deepest joys of my life and areas of greatest uh, responsibility and fulfillment and gratitude, and where I feel like my own light shines the most brightly. And you too can participate in this work. You too can participate in this work. We're looking for people who want to aid in the transformation of the planet through love, who want to be able to maybe help people in your life, maybe help yourself. Okay. To take this on and to join us in this work of embodying more love and embodying more light and embodying more well-being on the planet, you know. And the reality is, there have been times I've done this work in doctors' offices and seen some phenomenal things take place. Uh, wasn't necessarily communicating it in spiritual language per se. There's been times I've done this in churches, conservative churches even, and seen this work and significantly impact people's lives. And I wasn't necessarily using medical language in those scenarios. But the ultimate reality is that there was a divine blueprint according to which God created all of us, and there was a plan for our lives even before our grandparents were born. And the more we get in touch with that, the more we line up and attune with that, the more the more well-being we end up experiencing in our lives, the more freedom, the more joy, the more satisfaction, the more grace, the more peace, the more power we end up being able to experience. And so one of the reasons that there is all of this war and animosity and craziness in the world is because people are largely fearful. People are largely fearful, feel that afraid that, pardon me, that somebody else is going to somehow cause them harm, feel fearful, and so try to hoard and keep things to themselves rather than share with others. And I'm talking about on an individual level, and I'm talking about on a global and a societal level. All right, the same thing that's true in households is true amongst the nation. Okay, and the reality is that fear doesn't look the same in everybody. And some people, fear may show up as hatred. Fear may show up as trying to control others. Fear may show up as trying to hold other people down. Fear may show up as casting blame. Fear may show up um, as shaming people. Fear may show up um, a level of selfishness that doesn't consider how the greater world will be impacted and seeks to benefit itself no matter who it negatively impacts or how deeply. It's why people can kill for money. It's why people can destroy communities. It's why people feel broken because they've encountered other people's brokenness. And in other people's brokenness, they behaved in a way that has caused one to feel traumatized, cut off from who they really truly are, and have a sense of the loss of innocence. The reality is, we all came to this earth innocent. And in our experience and our experiences upon the earth, we've experienced things that seem to have taken that innocence away. And then our journey is to find our way back to who we really are, who we were always intended to be. And so then in that, we find and experience maturity, right? And that's how it is on planet Earth. Hopefully, before we leave here, we will have come to awaken about some things. Hopefully, before we leave here, we'll see things from a greater perspective than we have before. Hopefully, before we leave here, we will have, in some way, let our light shine in a way that a legacy has been left behind that somehow helps to make the world a little bit better as a result of our having been here, right? That's that's what the goal is. That's what the goal is. And I believe that this work that we call transcending the matrix is just a wonderful way that we get to do that, that we get to participate in that. And I'm not saying that because I developed transcending the matrix. I can't really take credit for it. God set things in motion to where I was able to be in the right place at the right time, at the appointed time that I wouldn't have otherwise been had it not been for unfortunate circumstances taking place. Again, I returned to my hometown of Michigan for a weekend. Some things happened in the family. I ended up deciding to stay a few extra days. Some things ended up happening in the family that week. It turned into years. While I was there, I ended up being in a situation where my computer stopped working and I had to be inconvenienced. So I thought to go find another computer to work on, to get this material printed and taken care of. And ultimately, one thing led me to another. I could even say my own challenges with health as a child and as a younger person, even as a young adult. And I didn't personally have the benefit of getting better when I went to the doctor or using those approaches. Not that there aren't people who, there are people who have received the benefit going to Western doctors. I just wasn't one of them. And I believe that the reason for that was because this work was intended to come through me. It doesn't make me so great that this work happened to have come through me. I didn't invent it, it just came through me. It just happened to have come through me for whatever reason. And anybody who trains in this work can do it just as well as I can. There wasn't anything that was special about me after I had done this basic level of training in Chinese energetic medicine. Didn't even know what I was doing. But within a few seconds, the pharmacist's back pain went away. The pharmacist who was in an extreme amount of pain, being surrounded by pain killing drugs, and who just left to get rid of your back pain doctor. Doesn't mean that I'm so special. But just like, I just did what I was taught to do. And I saw it work. I didn't know if I even knew what I was doing or not, but it worked. There are people who go through our training. It takes them a little while to believe it and do this work just as well as me, if not better. I just know how to teach it. But I say all the time, you don't have to be Thomas Edison to be able to turn the lights on in a room. You know, he and Lewis Latimer did a lot to make it possible, yes, but your ability to turn on a light is definitely every bit equal to his. And so, similarly, if you just follow the formula. I showed you what the formula is. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. It's actually rather simple. You just follow the recipe, so to speak. And it's a very simple recipe, and you see the profound result. You see profound results. I just want to check in with you who are here today. I want to know how you're doing. How's everybody feeling today? If you could let us know in the comments, always very thankful for that. Anybody who's interested in learning this work that's transcending the matrix, we've got a training that's coming up. It's coming up in just a couple weeks. Friday, April 29th through Sunday, May 2nd. Excuse me, Sunday, May 1st. All right. Friday, May 29th, which is my oldest niece, Masai's natal day. She'll be 19 years old, and much love to her, all the way on the other side of the planet in South Africa. It will be starting on the day of her birth. Uh, so that's a very special date. It's not the reason why we're starting it that day. It just is how it happened to fall. But if you have any interest in learning this work, training in it, I'm happy to share it with you. Reach out to me on Instagram at Transcending the Matrix, or on either Instagram or Facebook at Royce Fletcher Thomason. I also like to ask you if you know anybody who's experiencing some health challenges, share this work with them. Perhaps you're on YouTube, on the Matrix Healing YouTube page. I'd invite you uh, to, if you would, click on the like button or subscribe to the channel so it can help us reach more people. Um, we'd love to be able to reach as many people as we can with this work. We believe that there's value in it. We believe that there's room for more love in the world. We believe that there's more room for a greater degree of compassion and peace and well-being in the world. There are a lot of people who are suffering in pain and sickness and disease only because they think that they have to. And you can be somebody who can help them to experience something different. I can't tell you how gratifying it feels to be able to serve in that way, to be able to help a person experience a transformation uh, that they really feel to be profoundly impactful in their lives. And I want to share with you how to do that. The truth of the matter is, we all can do it. It's just a matter of gaining access to the how. And I'm here to share that with you. I'm here to share that with you, and I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to, like I said, this is one of the greatest joys of my life. Healing, serving God, and love are like the hallmarks of my life. Um, yeah, and so um, I want to make this available to anybody and everybody who has the heart to do so. Okay, if that's in your heart, that's on your heart, just reach out to me. Let me know. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Because of uh, the technology that's available, you no longer have to travel physically to where I'm located or where I'm teaching from. We do it online via Zoom. And so we've had people across several different time zones at the same time who've been in the classes, and once you do the training, you can continue taking it as much as you want to. We don't even ask you to pay anymore. uh, because we really want you to be able to get this and to master it and be empowered in your life and to empower others in their life. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. All right. So I'm sending as always, a bunch of love your way, sending you peace and love as we all work to reach that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. We a lot of times we look for satisfaction in external things, but really the the supreme satisfaction that's truly sustainable, that never runs out, I believe ultimately comes from God and being in alignment with God and the purposes of God for our lives. And um, again, we all exist physically, but we certainly don't only exist physically. At the heart of who we are is spiritual beings. Okay, at the heart of who we are is spiritual beings, and um, and I just, to me, I feel like I need to acknowledge the presence of God at work through this work, for instance, and in so many countless ways, um, because in areas where there seem like there perhaps aren't any solutions or aren't other options available, there's always something. And God, there's always something else that's available uh, to take us to a better place, to a higher place, a more fulfilled place. And so, again, I'm sending love and blessings everybody's way. May we all stand in peace and in power and love and in truth. And I'm just going to say a quick prayer. Thank you, Curly Conscious King, for your comment. Yes, the work is bigger than all of us. For it is indeed for a greater purpose. And we're all here for a greater purpose, whether we recognize that or not. If we can recognize it, it's better for us to be able to recognize it. Or even if we don't recognize it, it doesn't change that that's the truth of that's what it is, nonetheless. And so my prayer is that we all um, dwell in alignment with that. And so in that context, I just want to invite all of us to become aware to the fact that right now, where we sit physically or where we stand physically or lay physically, where you are physically, God is there right wherever you are in your life at this juncture, whether that's where you want to be, not quite where you'd like to be, wherever you are in your life right now, God is with you. God is with you. And so I invite all of us to remember this. And in this awareness, I want to thank you, God, for all of the souls that you continue to touch. Some aren't even aware that it's you that's touching them, that it's you that's blessing them. Some of us have blinders on and miss the many ways in which we're blessed. We get distracted by the things that we don't think are going right or the things that we think are going wrong, not realizing that every setback is a setup for a comeback, not realizing that there are things that you're doing in the background that are putting things in motion to have us to exactly where it is that we need to be to get the blessing that's going to knock our socks off. God, help us to see things more clearly. Help us to get a greater perspective, a perspective that gives us more more peace in the midst of whatever life situations we're going through or growing through. Allow us to recognize that you're always with us, that you have our very best interest at heart, that you want the very best for us, and that we can have and experience the very best, and that we can be the very best as a function of your love for us. And yes, there are things that we need to do. There may be some shifts that we might need to make. There might be some adjustments that we might need to make. There might be, just a willingness to say yes, just a willingness to say yes. Thank you, God, that you're ever looking for ways to get through to us, and that you will ultimately reach us in the places where we're needing to be reached, and the hurt places where we're needing to be touched and healed and transformed, and to see things differently, to love more freely, to live more responsibly and wisely, and to dwell in the flow of your goodness. And for all of these things, we celebrate as part of our reality. Thank you, God, for all of these gifts of your divine. We affirm it is done, it is done, it is done. Mm. Thank you all for being here. I love you. I pray God's grace and peace upon you. I look forward to seeing you next.